How's it going, Funny Junk? The narrator here. A couple of uploads I had were of music, and I mentioned I would make a tutorial. Went ahead and decided I might do one on how I make my melodies and how I form my songs and whatnot. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Right now, what I've got open is a sampler which has nothing loaded into it because it's just going to be there for keeping scales in the background, and REF Nexus, which should be on a piano setting. You don't have to use Nexus, you just need a piano or some sort of note that you can hear easily, or instrument that you can hear easily that is a piano or something similar. I use this because it's really, really useful synth. I would recommend finding it and seeing if you can download it, but it is quite pricey if you do plan on buying it, so keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the sampler. Sampler's already loaded the piano roll. So what we're going to want is we want a scale in the background so we know what notes will sound good and what notes won't sound good in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and let's choose a random note here. Let's see if can't find. Let's do an A scale. So you'll notice how earlier I had chosen the major scale so that it'll automatically fill the notes for me. I'm just going through and filling them up and down the scale for a couple of octaves. And I'm going to select them all, copy and paste it over a few times. That way later on, when we're actually making the rest of the song, it'll be easier to see them by turning on ghost notes. I can't show you that right now because I honestly have forgotten how I did it, but it's a global setting, so once you turn it on, it stays on unless you turn it off. So you'll see that how these are in the background now. So now that we've got that, we're just going to start making a random series of notes and chords. So we'll just start off like this. We'll go, oh, I need to turn that off. So we'll start, it's a little too high. Should move these down. Give me a second. G sharp. Oh dear. Excuse me for a sec while I fix this. Alright. So, you'll start writing down random chords, but the way that I do it is a method that a guy whose name I can't remember, I'll put a link to his channel in the description. He does it the exact same way, and it's actually how I did a lot of my songs. It's you write the chords with a 4-3 method, meaning there are 4 notes between the top note and the second note. See how there's 4 of the notes in the scale. And that's the 4 part of the 4-3, and then the 3, I'm sure you've guessed, is 3 notes in between. Wow. And so it sounds nice. That's alt-right clicking. For those of you who have Fruity Loop Studios, will let you do that. So now that we've got that, we're just gonna start writing random chords, and I would recommend not random chords per se, but the first chord can be, whatever. Just keep in mind you want to pay attention to how it sounds. It doesn't have to be a melody yet. We just want the chords to be kind of, they sound nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and do. And we're just going to continue this pattern here for a bit. Alright, so now that I've got at least this part done correctly, we're going to go ahead and copy and paste it because the sound will sort of repeat over here. You get the idea. So now that we've got this, we're going to go ahead and change it a little bit, make it sound a little bit more melodic on the top notes right here. So you'll, with your own chords, you'll have to figure out what sounds right. I'm going to go ahead and mute my voice while I mess with this, get the sound right. You'll sort of hear a melody start to take picture now that the chords have been made and repeated. So I will resume speaking and doing the tutorial once I've got the melody done with this. Alright, so that's honestly not my best piece of work, but it'll fit for now. You'll probably hear, let me play it again so that you guys can actually hear it this time. And it repeats and so on and so on. So now that we've got this, we're going to want to actually create the synthesizer that has the normal notes playing. And the piano is a good synthesizer, or a good instrument for the mid voices, or the middle notes, or whatever you want to call them. So we're going to leave that alone. We're going to copy this right now so that I don't forget. And we're going to add in a new synthesizer. I use Sylenth 1. It's a great synthesizer, but other than that, it doesn't come with a lot of fantastic options. It comes with good ones, but not necessarily fantastic. So I'm going to load a bank that I have that I actually enjoy. This is Shocking Sounds 10 is the sound effects that I use. I'll put a link to where you can buy this, and I would recommend buying this because if you do plan on selling your music, it is good to have a legal copy of these things instead of just getting them from Pirate Bay. So we're gonna, in this one, I use a Vandalism, where did it go? Dance With Me. And so you can hear how that's a lot, that's the synthesizer I use in my sounds. Feel free to use whatever you want, it just has to have some sort of a lead sound. That sort of thing, it's sort of a saw. The best way I can explain it. And so we go ahead and paste it. Now that we've got it in both places, what we're going to do is we're going to split the chords up a little bit more so that the synthesizer, the lead, has a higher voice and the piano has a low voice. So we're going to turn that off for now, so now it's just the synthesizer. So what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to delete the lowest notes for this melody or this pattern. So you'll go ahead and delete all of them. Spare no one. And so now you can hear it's a little bit higher, but further than that, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take the high notes, the top layer, and we're going to copy and paste them 1 octave higher so that it creates an even higher sound. Missed a note there. Be sure you get all of your notes in, and you'll hear them if you pay attention whenever the song plays and something's missing from the high notes. So now that we've got that, we can go ahead and you can right here mess with this a little bit more, give it a little bit more depth, where you can mess around with the top keys and make them sound a little bit better. For the sake of simplicity, I'm going to leave this alone for now. That way it is easier to follow this tutorial. So now that we've got that, we're going to effectively do the inverse of that for the piano, where you delete the top lane, or top layer, and keep the other two. I think that's everything from the top. Nope, almost missed that one again. And what we're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the new top, which is the old middle, grab all of its notes, and you are going to move it 1 octave lower. And then you're going to grab this, which used to be the lowest, which is now the new mid. You're going to copy it and paste it 1 octave higher, so that it sounds like this. Now, it doesn't sound fantastic separate, neither of them do. But when you put them together, gives it a little bit more depth, and it's easier to hear them separately. So these are the mid voices, and these are the high voices. So now what we've got are the melodies. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and turn both of those off, and we're going to I'm going to go ahead and add some drums in here so that we have a beat to go with for now. So let me go ahead and find those. I'm going to fast forward this part here. Alright, you can figure out what drum sounds best for you. I went ahead and used the default Gravity Kick 11, or whatever this is called. I'm not fantastically knowledgeable about these instruments. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create the bass. This is where a little bit of trickery comes in, because it's going to be quite interesting. We're going to go ahead and add another Nexus, or for you who don't have Nexus, FL Studio Producer Edition comes with Citrus, and you can use Citrus for this. And so we are going to be using the deep bass, or deep saw. Turn that off. Alright, so we're going to use the deep saw. So anything that sounds like that for Citrus or for any of the instruments you may use is good, but this is going to be the bass, so it's going to have the deep sound. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the piano roll, and we're just going to sort of follow the melody for a bit. So Now, what we're doing here, instead of directly following the melody, like I said a few seconds ago, is this is going to be, I don't know what the term exactly is, but half of this note's going to get cut off, and you want to have it set in fours. So, go ahead and just follow along here as you please. A lot of this, again, is done by ear, and I am not the best person to be explaining it, but this should be actually down here. Alright, so it doesn't sound amazing, but that's what we're going to change. So, we're going to take this, we're going to assign it, let's go ahead and assign it FX4. And we're going to open up the mixer. Here's where I said the magical trickery comes in. We're on Insert 4, which is what it's linked to. We're going to add in... where did it go? The love filter. There it is. And we're going to set this to default, turn it off, and we're going to, I think this is called sidechaining. I could be wrong. If I am wrong, please tell me in the comment section. Oh, sorry, wrong, my bad. We're going to do this, turn it on, make it loop. So now it should sound like... So your bass should sound something a little like that, where half of it's not playing, and so it'll sound like this with the drums. Not fantastic, again, I admit, but it's something. So, that kind of gets about where we're going. So, but the bass right here that we're using is pretty low. We want a sort of a middle bass, and this is, again, I'm using Sylenth 1, which is what I used for the main melody. I'm going to go ahead and close out some of these windows. And this time, I'm going to be using, it's the same company that made the other bank. Where did it go? It's... this one, Shocking Sounds 9 instead. I don't want to save, I want to open. And we're going to go to part 3, and if I remember correctly, this is the metal dist. Yeah, that's the sound that we want for the middle bass. Choose what you want, but this is what the guy that did the tutorial I'm currently following the way that he does. He uses this. So he goes in, and we're going to go ahead and copy these two to another pattern. That way we only get those sounds. So we're going to go to the piano roll for this. First we're going to move it a little bit lower. Go back a bit. The reason I'm using threes here is because it adds a little bit more pattern to the bass, and it also follows along better with the rest of the song. And using the 4 beats, or the full notes, whatever you want to call them, for the other bass that I'm using, this one, is because it gets cut off halfway, and so it sounds a little bit different. So we're going to continue. So, not the prettiest sound you've heard, admittedly. We're gonna also assign this one its own channel. I think it's 5 for this one. And then we're gonna do sort of the same thing, where it has that sort of noise, or it gets cut off halfway, which is the love filter. You know what, it's easier to do this. Save preset, put it in there. So now it should. So it sounds a little bit better like that. But even further than that, what we're going to be doing is we are going to be, let's turn this off so we can actually hear it. We are going to open up Fruity Parametric Equalizer, or EQ2. We're going to load the 20 Hz and 18 cut, and we're going to make it sound a little bit less full. So that's sort of the range you want, where it's in the middle, kind of upper mid. And then we're going to do the same sort of thing to the bass, but we're not going to make it all the way cut. We're going to cut off the high sounds. Whoops, need that open. So, there's the bass, sort of ish. So we're gonna go ahead and copy these two channels back over. Control C, actually Control X. Go back to channel 1 and paste them. So now, everything together sounds like. Now, we're going to do the same sort of thing with the melody here, with these two, the synthesizer and the piano. This is 1, that's 2, that's 4, that's 5. Yeah. So we're going to open up the mixer, go to 1. Actually, we'll just go ahead and copy this again. Save preset as to 1. And save preset as to 2. We'll fix the sound later because they do need to have a little bit of changing with the love filter. But for the top two, the melody, the sound needs to be changed a little bit so that we get rid of the low sounds. So for the piano, we're going to go ahead and go to the parametric again. And open up the equalizer, same sort of thing. Keep forgetting to activate that. For now, we'll turn off the love filter while we're listening. Wrong insert again. I do apologize for this. It's been quite a long day and I'm actually quite tired, so I'm probably not the best to be explaining this, but so that's how your piano should sound, sort of. Again, same sort of thing that you did with the synthesizer down here. And this one will, they'll all have the filter because it has to do with making the drums sound nice. Let me turn that back on. Go to insert 1, which is your high notes. And we're going to do the same thing with insert 1 with the parametric EQ. So let me make sure that's the only thing on. So what each should sound like ish is this, the synthesizer, the high notes, the one that actually carry the melody, sounds like this. the piano. The middle melody sounds like this. Sorry. Your bass will sound like this, and I'm turning on the drums and both bass at the same time because you've heard them. And all together will sound like this with the Love Filter. Let me go ahead and open this up so that I have it. This is setting 1, which is the synthesizer, yeah. Yeah, I mentioned you'll have to change the Love Filter for the synthesizer because you want it to be starting off with a little sound in the Love Filter, so it should look like that, and we're gonna close these just so that it's easier to keep track of everything. And we're gonna open up the equalizer here again, the main mixer. We're gonna copy that preset into insert 2. We're gonna delete that. Replace with none. Yeah, so the full thing should sound a lot like this. So, now that we've got all that done, we are going to add in a really high voice, which will carry the melody later on in the song. Now, the trick to using this one is to not actually turn it on until later on in the song. You'll hear it in all of the songs that I've posted. It's quite annoying, actually, what we're going to be using. So, we're going to add another silent, I believe, and we're going to be keeping it on... Where did it go? I think it is in Shocking Sounds 10. Yep, the first one. Sounds like this. It's very annoying. So we're going to turn this off. We're going to turn this one to pitch AB. That needs to be a sine wave. So you'll see up there it'll label sine. And this is going to be, we're going to turn the gain down. The rate should be 1/16. So you'll hear how there's kind of a trill in the background with the rate at 1/16 and the gain being something like that. So we're going to move it very high. So, now the trick here is going to pattern 2, piano roll this. Let me change that a little bit lower now. Now, you sort of follow the melody, but you will make subtle changes here and there. Now, the one thing you'll notice about this is that when it's played like this, with nothing overlapping... Let me turn this off. There's sort of a kick every time the note changes, and there's a way to get around that. You just highlight the notes you want to overlap. So, for instance, if I wanted this first sequence to overlap, the preceding note will be slightly longer than normal, and it'll sort of make them carve or blend down to the next note. So you'll do that for a bit with this synthesizer. For any other synthesizer or, I don't know, plugin that you would be using, you're going to have to look to see if they have that. I would recommend finding and downloading Sylenth 1 somehow. Pirate Bay, maybe even. So I'm going to keep changing this until it sounds right. Alright, now that we've got all this done, we're going to turn reverb on. That way it has this nice echoey sound in the background. Alright, so your top note, this will be carrying the melody during the song, so we're going to go ahead and... So, what you're going to want to do, now that everything is all together, is add a mixer track to this new insert, and you're going to do the same thing. Sorry, not... You're going to do the sidechain or whatever it is. Again, I do apologize for how scatterbrained I am right now. I am very tired. I know that's no excuse, so I'll just go ahead and grab this insert 9. So now this should sound like... And so everything together will now sound like this. So, again, not my best melody. Honestly, my best song is probably Fuji. I like it a lot more than I like my other songs, but that's sort of the method that I use. I just sort of put chords in a certain pattern, and then I mess around with it until I get a melody. I will probably not be making a song out of this, so feel free to completely copy down the melody, the chords, and everything that you've got from this video, and make your own song if you wish. No copyright, no nothing, Creative Commons is whatever. You don't even have to mention me if you don't want to. So go out, make music, and I hope to see you all in my next video.